Legacy Precious Metals is the company that I trust to give you good and patient counsel for investing in your retirement. The Biden administration has caused a financial crisis, and they have no clue how to fix it. Oil prices have skyrocketed, and when oil prices go up, not only do your expenses go up, but the cost of transportation and shipping spikes, leading the prices of goods to rise. And we are already seeing record inflation. That's the last thing that we need. Our economy is in trouble, and you need to take steps to protect yourself. If all your money is tied up in stocks, bonds, and traditional markets, you may be vulnerable. So gold is one of the very best ways to protect your retirement. No matter what happens, you own your own gold. It's real, it's physical, and it's always been valuable since the dawn of time. Call Legacy Precious Metals today at 866-528-1903 or visit them online at legacypminvestments.com. That's legacypminvestments.com, where you can download the free investor's guide. You can also go to my Facebook page, Jenna Ellis. I am a public figure on Facebook, and I just posted yesterday a really great interview with the president of Legacy Precious Metals, who is discussing why you need to start your retirement account even if you're in your 20s or 30s. There is always a great time to protect your retirement and invest, just like you want to protect your health over the long term. So go to Legacy Precious Metals at legacypminvestments.com or call 866-528-1903.
As a constitutional law attorney, former senior legal advisor, and personal counsel to President Donald J. Trump, Jenna Ellis believes in the rule of law and the importance of integrity in our elections. And she's ready to tackle the big cultural and legal issues facing America. This is the Jenna Ellis Show. Here is your host, Jenna Ellis.
Happy Monday, friends, and welcome to another episode of the Jenna Ellis Show. I'm Jenna Ellis, and as you have probably seen in the news, or if you're paying attention at all, because the news isn't really covering it, that the World Economic Forum's main meeting is being held in Davos, Switzerland, again, after a brief 2-year hiatus, of course, due to the global pandemic. And some of the conspiracy theorists, like us on the right, would say that they actually were planning on harnessing the pandemic and using that to further their globalization interests. So probably didn't really care about taking that brief hiatus, but they're back together again this week in Switzerland. So we want to take today and tomorrow on the show to give you first today a brief overview of what is the World Economic Forum, who is Klaus Schwab, why does this matter, and then actually talk to a reporter on the ground in Davos from Rebel News, who produced a great docuseries and who's going to be explaining all of this to us. So this docuseries is called The Great Reset, and it's available on Rebel News. I started watching this today, and I have to tell you, you have to watch this. We're going to play a brief clip right now to show you why this is so important. Listen to this.
You'll own nothing and you'll be happy. It's a phrase you've probably heard over the last couple of years, but what exactly does it mean? Where does it come from? And what exactly is it? In this docu-series, I'll walk through with you a plan, a vision, an idea that the mainstream media are calling a conspiracy theory.
This pandemic has provided an opportunity for a reset.
It is called the Great Reset. Why are they so suspicious of institutions?
But as we try to build back from this global pandemic.
Joe Biden calls it Build Back Better.
Build back better.
Building back better.
To do things differently. To build back better.
We're going to build it back better.
And build it back better.
To my plan to build back better.
This is an organisation that profits from famine and disease, known as the World Economic Forum.
With everything falling apart, we can reshape the world in ways we couldn't before. Ways that better address so many of the challenges we face. And that's why so many are calling for a great reset.
This organisation pushes fear and tragedies to further its own agenda.
We know now that the next crisis is already waiting for us around the corner.
One that will dictate what you own, what you eat, what you think, under the guise of of a sustainable future.
With climate change set to dwarf the damage caused by the pandemic, the message from 2020 should be abundantly clear.
Capitalism, as we know it, is dead.
And when someone calls this a conspiracy theory, they don't realise that the information is right under their nose.
All right, so joining me now is the narrator of this Great Reset docuseries, Louis Brackpool. So you are a reporter for Rebel News, and you have obviously been following the World Economic Forum for years. You were there on the ground in Davos, Switzerland. So first of all, in the context of this docuseries, which I find to be incredibly enlightening, and everyone should watch it to understand what the worldview is of the World Economic Forum. Describe for people who maybe have seen some things in the news, but they're maybe hesitant to say, they don't know a lot about the World Economic Forum. What is it? How was it founded? And why is this so important for us to understand?
Yeah, that question is big. So let's get into it. So the World Economic Forum is a conglomerate of many people from around the world, in the entertainment industry, in global political arenas, and many, many more. And what they do is they meet most of the time throughout the years in annual meetings that are themed. Back in, I believe, 2013, they were talking lots and lots of stuff about various subjects. Many of them are connected with things such as overpopulation, climate change, and many others. But one particular narrative or theme that they decided to run with was known as the Great Reset. And what that is an idea, a plan, or a vision from a man named Klaus Schwab, who is the head of the World Economic Forum. And his vision is to reset key parts of our society, whether it be environmental, societal, geopolitical, economical, or many, many aspects of our lives at the minute. And this idea, or this opportunity he's seen through COVID-19 and the pandemic, has made an opportunity for him to enact this plan or this vision. And it's for anyone that hasn't had any sort of brief knowledge or not even touched upon this subject, you kind of sound a bit mad when you try and explain it to someone who hasn't been exposed to any of this. So there are many aspects. So one would be this Agenda 2030 that they set, for example. And this Agenda 2030 is an idea or a sustainability idea headed by the World Economic Forum to change aspects within society under the guise of a sustainable future, i.e. climate change. So it means overhauling many, many aspects through economically, through societal, through many, many aspects within our governments and influence our governments. They are able to spearhead their plan and ideas straight onto many governments who want to enact this change. They have many schemes, such as the Young Global Leaders scheme, which I touch upon in my docu-series. And this Young Global Leaders scheme, spearheaded by the World Economic Forum, has many people who are now in government or in cabinets, as Klaus Schwab has said, where he said, we penetrate the cabinets, meaning we send our young global leaders into different governments and enact influence and policy. And it all sounds pretty scary, if I'm totally honest, but I'm here currently in Davos, and we've been covering a lot of the ongoings outside of the WEF. Of course, we weren't accredited to go in because we like to challenge them. It's only certain journalists or reporters that are allowed to of course, attend these forums or meetings. And what we've seen so far is pretty astonishing. I mean, it's my first time being out here, but yeah, it's kind of like just a circle jerk of just elites getting together and trying to reorganize the world. And as conspiratorial as that sounds, they are so open with it. It's all in plain sight. So
we've seen that, Lewis, in a few of the videos that have been released. They're openly espousing and advancing this type of globalization where they want to have climate change. That you mentioned those 5 key areas in technology, in society. I mean, this is an entire worldview. This isn't just policy and politics. And I think that's the main thing that people really need to understand, is that the viewpoint of where society should go, how government should be involved, and the World Economic Forum now having these young global leaders that are in key positions across the globe. I mean, this spans Justin Trudeau. This is several prime ministers of other countries in Europe. This is even some of our own U.S. Congress members or former Congress members like Dan Crenshaw, Tulsi Gabbard.
Yes.
I mean, this is something where this is an entire embedded philosophy that they are really trying to harness the power of the World Economic Forum and their influence to drive at a certain goal. How would you articulate the goal of the World Economic Forum with all of these different facets moving toward globalization? What is their end goal here?
Control. One word, control. And that's all it is. These conglomerates of powerful people have been talking about this since the 70s. I mean, the World Economic Forum was started in 1971 and funded by the European Commission for Klaus Schwab to start up his first ever meeting. So this not necessarily is a new thing. However, it's accelerated rapidly because they've seen an opportunity to change aspects of our society, like I've mentioned, especially in the economic region. They believe that capitalism is the most evil and horrible form of ism, as Bono has said, and you'll see that in the documentary that he is part, of course, the WEF, spearheading these alarmist talking points. But the simple answer is complete control. The "you'll own nothing and be happy" tagline that you hear from Klaus Schwab. But what exactly does that mean? Exactly, you'll own nothing and just be happy. It's not for them. They won't own anything. They'll still have their things to own, such as their lovely cars, their lovely private jets, their steaks every night, even though they want you to eat bugs and live in pods and all of these crazy ideas that they keep saying every year. So it's all about, like I said, complete control.
And that's the definition of elitism, is that we are going to tell you how to live. You have to own nothing, be happy, and just do what the regime tells you, rather than what our founders here in America described as the right to pursue happiness, the right to, as we have defined the American dream, and why so many people across the world want to come to America, because of this idea of freedom and liberty and individualism, that we get to decide for ourselves and our own families what is in our own best interest. And that is fundamentally in conflict with the World Economic Forum and Klaus Schwab's worldview, which is that these groups of elitists, the Bill Gates of the world, Mark Zuckerberg, who's one of these, young globalist leaders, who get to tell you how to live and how to decide for your family, and not even to decide for your family, like don't even have any children. That was one of the things that your docuseries brought up, that they have their own kids and that's fine for them, but they want to use contraceptives, they want to use all of this medication so that the population of the world is decreased, and they think this is good for climate change. So these are very fundamentally different views of reality. And one, in America might say, well, okay, we can get that from maybe world elites over in Germany. But when we see people from America who are actively participating, like Henry Kissinger, who is actually a mentor of Klaus Schwab, how in your mind does American government reconcile this idea of having some of our own who are part of the World Economic Forum, when the goal of society is fundamentally antithetical to our Constitution, when you have a World Economic Forum idea?
Well, this is the thing. I mean, I just want to say that America has the most beautiful legislation, and that's the First Amendment. Okay, and you guys need to treasure that with absolutely everything, because in the UK we don't have that. So that's fundamental. That's so important, and that's why you need to utilize the First Amendment to speak out about things such as this. Now, in terms of the Americans that are involved, you mentioned Dan Crenshaw as well, Tulsi Gabbard, who has attended in the past, but has been changing her mind and saying things such as Biden's New World Order and stuff like that, which is quite fascinating. But still, nonetheless, she has been involved. So it's always a word of caution. I think it's important to shine a light on who is involved from the US, because the US is, well, according to the Constitution, according to the Founding Fathers, and according to, of course, your everyday American, it's the freest country on earth. This is the tagline that you guys have over there. You're the freest country on earth because you can speak your mind without the police getting involved. You have your Second Amendment rights and many other amendments that give Americans their freedoms. So it's integral to protect that. Because I'm going to be honest with you, if America falls to this idea of and it sounds conspiratorial, if America falls to this idea of a one world government or a kind of a globalist regime that can dictate your laws, where else is going to be free is all I'm going to ask. So I think it's so important to be holding account politicians who are attending these events, asking them, why are you attending? What is your reason to attend these events? There are so many issues going on in America, the UK, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, but why are you taking the time out to fly on private jets over to Switzerland to meet with other very, very wealthy and powerful people to then discuss about rearranging your own country's societal aspects? So that's what Americans must do. They must turn around and say, why are you doing this? And what is your reason for this? And utilize your First Amendment.
Absolutely. And our First Amendment has been under such great attack, as I'm sure you know, and that was just so eloquently stated that so many people in America don't even understand how important and vital it is to protect our right to freedom of speech and freedom of the press and so many other things. I mean, even this podcast got censored on YouTube the other day for talking about election integrity and those types of things, even on private platforms. As soon as the government harnesses the power to censor in different ways. And, we can talk about private platforms versus the government. As soon as the government is stepping in and saying, you can't speak about a certain subject, or we have to compel you to speak something that you don't believe in, whether it's the LGBT agenda or it's a COVID vaccine, or compel you to determine medically what you're going to do when you don't have a say in it. Otherwise, you can't work in America. I mean, these are things that are fundamentally antithetical to freedom. And so as you're looking, Lewis, at the World Economic Forum and the goals of what they're trying to do, which is this great reset, as you've defined it. So for the Americans that are involved and, for NATO and some of the other, US allies and the UN, how do you see all of this coming together? Would you say that there is a joint goal with America's government and the bad actors, we'll call them that, the far progressive leftists in America, and the World Economic Forum? Is there a collaboration on the goal there? And if so, how do you see that advancing through the World Economic Forum?
My answer would be yes, there is, because they are saying it. Everything that I mentioned in my docuseries and everything that I reported on here in Davos is what they say. It's got nothing to do with me. I just report on what they say. So if it means that me repeating what Klaus Schwab is saying in his meetings, or Dan Crenshaw, or Yuval Harari, or whoever, and I'm being called a conspiracy theorist for this, then they have you. They have you. So yes, there is this collaboration because they admit it. They tell everyone this. So it's very important to keep regurgitating what they're saying to other people in order for people to gain a greater understanding that this is not a conspiracy theory. There is nothing, it's conspiratorial, sure, from their part, but it's not a theory, it's fact, because they are saying it, and that is their personal goal or agenda. The best news that I've heard, or the best kind of, how can I explain this? The meetings this year are titled, or the theme of this year is around gaining trust. And that's gaining trust of people like me and yourself and your viewers and my viewers who don't want to be governed by a technocratic state or a global elite. They want to be free, sovereign individuals. So they're theming this meeting this year as gaining trust, when it shows you that the majority of people do not trust them. And this is great news. This shows that we are pivoting in a positive direction, because they are wanting our trust and we are not giving it to them. And the more we do not give to them, the easier it would be to be really talking about this on the mainstream, because I don't think that this subject is quite on the mainstream yet. I think it's still considered fringe, which I find absolutely abhorrent. So that is a positive, that they are really trying to gain trust in the people, or me and you and your viewers and my viewers, to come on their side. And it's not going to happen. And no, I don't see it.
Well, never. I can speak. I know the people who are my regular viewers, and certainly people like you and me that value freedom, are never going to trust their, what I would call, an evil plan, and for very good reason. But you're right that this isn't on the radar of the mainstream, and even in viewing a couple of different legacy media networks in the US here, there was no mention at all. I mean, there's a couple of like Reuters and AP articles that are going out just saying, hey, the annual WEF meeting is happening, very benign. And there's no real focus on this. And the focus right now is only on the war in Ukraine and, the US sending $40 billion in aid, and the baby formula crisis, and all these other very important but very top level things that don't get down to the fundamental root of the problem, which is a difference in how we view liberty and the right of each individual human to direct their own path and destiny, of course, within the margins of law. But then the World Economic Forum, that wants a set of elites that has absolute control over the human population in a globalist society, tear down all borders and say, we want to tell you how you have to be happy and how you have to fit in as the human race. And they're totally fundamentally different views of who human beings are. And this is why, as a Christian, this is why the Christian worldview is the predicate, of course, to what our founders described as the rights that are God-given. And they identified our God and the truth of that in the Declaration as the Judeo-Christian God of the Bible. And because he is the divine lawgiver, we understand our rights come from him. We don't define our rights. And because of that, we have true liberty when government is used simply to preserve and protect the rights of all human beings made in his image. Now, if you ask that question to Klaus Schwab, I imagine it would be a very different answer. And so Louis, this is also why it's so important for outlets like what you're doing at Rebel News. And I encourage everyone to subscribe to Rebel News, subscribe and follow, Louis Brackpool, and go and support these outlets that are actually bringing you real content, because not only are you, like you said, you're just reporting what they're saying, but you also are coming from a perspective of your eyes wide open, and why we're not going to simply trust the elites. We're going to make sure that we hold them accountable. And that's a huge difference. So I want to pause here, and we're going to have part 2 tomorrow, because Louis is going to be with us to describe what exactly you're seeing here and why it's so important that now they have to regain some trust after they really they really opened everyone's eyes, I think, with the COVID pandemic and their response. So make sure that you're subscribing to the Jenna Ellis Show so that you get these episodes the first, and as soon as they drop, you can subscribe on all of the audio channels, the podcast channels. We also are on Rumble and YouTube until they censor us again, of course, because actually, isn't it the founder and creator of YouTube that's also part of the World Economic Forum? I think I saw that in your docuseries.
Correct. And Google is there as well.
Yeah. So that's ridiculous. That's why Rumble and some of these alternatives are incredibly important to continue to exercise the right of freedom of the press, the right to share facts and also opinions and analysis. So we will be back tomorrow with part 2 with Louis Brackpool, who's a reporter at Rebel News, and talk more about Davos and the annual meeting at the World Economic Forum. Legacy Precious Metals is the company that I trust to give you good and patient counsel for investing in your retirement. The Biden administration has caused a financial crisis, and they have no clue how to fix it. Oil prices have skyrocketed, and when oil prices go up, not only do your expenses go up, but the cost of transportation and shipping spikes, leading the prices of goods to rise. And we are already seeing record inflation. That's the last thing that we need. Our economy is in trouble, and you need to take steps to protect yourself. If all your money is tied up in stocks, bonds, and traditional markets, you may be vulnerable. So gold is one of the very best ways to protect your retirement. No matter what happens, you own your own gold. It's real, it's physical, and it's always been valuable since the dawn of time. Call Legacy Precious Metals today at 866-528-1903 or visit them online at legacypminvestments.com. That's legacypminvestments.com, where you can download the free investor's guide. You can also go to my Facebook page, Jenna Ellis. I am a public figure on Facebook. You need to start your retirement account even if you're in your 20s or 30s. There is always a great time to protect your retirement and invest, just like you want to protect your health over the long term. So go to Legacy Precious Metals at legacypminvestments.com or call 866-528-1903. Have you ever picked up a towel set because it felt so soft in the store, but then when you leave and you go to use it, it's not really that absorbent? It's basically a towel that is leaving you out to dry. That's why MyPillow has developed the MyPillow towels that actually work. I know, it's totally mind-blowing. Towels that actually dry you. Their 6-piece towel set includes 2 bath towels, 2 hand towels, and 2 washcloths. They come in a variety of colors. I have the sage green and the white. I love them. And right now you can receive a 6-piece set for only $39.98 with promo code Jenna. That's JENNA. So go to mypillow.com right now and click on the radio listeners special. MyPillow products come with a 10-year warranty and have a 60-day money-back guarantee. So to receive this amazing offer on the 6-piece towel set of MyPillow towels, just go to mypillow.com, click on the radio listener special, and enter promo code Jenna, that's JENNA, or call 1-800-564-8475. That's mypillow.com, promo code Jenna.